But the point is that if you have a program that lives somewhere outside of these locations, Unix is not going to find it. Okay, so when we run Python, the only version of Python that Unix knows to run is in one of these locations. Okay, but we actually want to run a special version of Python, and that version of Python lives in a very complicated directory. It lives in software, Anaconda, 2.5.0, bin, Python. Okay, so this is a different Python. It's different from /user/bin/Python. When you run this, you see that the output's a little bit different. You're no longer running Python 2.6.6. You're running Python 2.7.11. And it's a special Python that comes from something called Anaconda. Okay, so that's a bit different. So let's say Control D to exit from here. So now let's run our stats.py with this special version of Python and see if that works. So software, Anaconda, 2.5.0, bin, Python. Okay, do you guys see the difference between what we did earlier and what this is? Here we're looking for a slightly different Python. And this will actually work, I guess. And it's going to take a minute, I guess, to run. It's also going to give us an error, which is very embarrassing. Okay, let's look. In stats.py. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to make a change to stats.py, and if someone can make a note of these changes that we're making on the Etherpad, that would be great. Let me, for a second, log back in here. It's okay, we can fix this. All right. So let me explain the error that we're getting. If you look at the error, it has something to do with the invalid display variable, and that's because our program is trying to draw a plot. Okay, and from within the Palmetto, that's not the easiest thing to do, because when you log into the Palmetto, you don't have access to any kind of screen or any kind of graphical interface for you to draw plots and do stuff. And so that's the error that we're getting, and we can fix that. And I'm sorry about it. But let's just go ahead and do that. By the way, when I just asked for Q sub I, there are some defaults in place. I only get a single node with a single core, I guess 1 GB of RAM, and for a wall time of 30 minutes or 1 hour, and we can talk about how to modify those. All right, let's go ahead and make some changes to cd data HPC. I'm going to open up stats.py and make some changes. Right here, I'm going to type in import matplotlib, or rather, right before I write, and say matplotlib use. Not user, but use. Okay. Sorry, I'm hacking here. it's the only way that this will maybe work. And if this works, I'll go ahead and bring that change up for you again. That might work, and it's going to take about a minute to run. But once it's done, I'm going to see two things. I'm going to see a plot that corresponds to a plot of the data in this file, and I'm going to see some statistics in this directory results. Okay, so if you've made that change, and if you're running the same program like this, and if you wait a minute, you should see all that stuff happen. Yeah, I didn't plan on this wait being this awkward, but okay. Any questions about anything we've done so far? And I realize we've gone a bit fast. All right, so there it is. If you look inside results, you should see a file that's basically the name of the file appended with results.txt. And if you look inside plots, you should see .png, which is something like a JPG that corresponds to a plot of that data. Of course, you can't open that PNG file because that's not going to work. You have to transfer it back to your home directory to actually have a look at it. And we'll do all that. But let's revisit what we did. I had to change stats.py to include these two lines here, and that just I don't want to get into what exactly that does, but these are the two lines I had to add. And if you can copy that on the Etherpad, I'd be really grateful. But there it is. So we waited a minute, and now we have these results. Okay, how many files do we have here in this directory that we want to analyze? Not 10,000, but we have 17 of them. Okay, so if we wrote a loop to go through each of those files and analyze them one by one, that would take us 15 or 17 minutes to complete, at least. And that's not even 17 files is a lot. Okay, if you're writing stats.py, for example, and you're making changes to it and you're debugging it or you're testing it, and you want to keep running it on these input files, waiting 17 minutes every time you make a change can be a real pain. Okay, so for even 17 files is a lot for this particular program. And so we want to learn how we can, for example, use the Palmetto to analyze these files independently. Okay, and doing that via an interactive session can be difficult. So we need to figure out another way to schedule our jobs. And the way to do that is to write something called a batch script. Okay, and we'll talk about how to write a batch script. Before that, let's look at another problem. Every time we